I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Yo, what's up? Mike from Cultivating here to talk about Tasty Gains creatine gummies. I would never push a product I don't use. I didn't take creatine until I ran into Tasty Gains and started taking these gummies because they're simple. No powder, no mixing, just pop a gummy in, 1 gram of creatine per gummy. What are the benefits of creatine? Increase water to the muscles to get that sick pump in the gym. Better recovery, more power during your workout, and studies are now showing it's helping with the brain, which I need all the help I can get. So go to tastygains.com, use code COPVILLEOG for 20% off. This is the real deal, simple, easy, and we'll get that pump going so you look good for the ladies or men. Yo, what's up, guys? Mike from Cultivating here, another episode of Locked Up with Cultivating. Today's episode is going to be called the exit plan, and that is the exit plan out of law enforcement. There's many different ways that exit plan can happen. Some can be of your own doing. Some can be not of your own doing. Some can be planned for another career. There's many different ways to exit law enforcement. And I'm going to tell you, first of all, what to expect, I think, either way. I left law enforcement over a year ago, and if you're connected to the job and you do the job at a high level, there is a level of anxiety, and I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I don't know that everybody's going to experience it. But there's a level of anxiety of you're so structured for so long and so conditioned to do the same things over and over, walk into the same building, see the same people. By nature, you go through some decompression, anxiety, weird feeling. I experienced the same kind of feeling after 8 weeks of basic training, and then having that first time out in public after 8 weeks of being completely locked up and doing all that garbage. There's a mental side of this that, we make it our identity. It's a terrible trait, but all cops make this job their identity. And when you don't have that job anymore, it's tough. And some guys go out unannounced, fired, medical, some type of incident that immediately ends your career. Some guys plan their way out. Some guys make it to retirement. Some don't. But overall, exit plan. What I see a lot on the Copville page and a lot of DMs I get are people that ask a lot of questions. One, about transferring agencies and what's a better agency to go to. And two is getting out of law enforcement. And a lot of times what those statements are, they're quick, let me out right now. What happens is we go to a call, or we have an incident with a supervisor, or we get into some situation and we're like, fuck this job. I'm done with this. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm out right now. And you throw a temper tantrum, and you call your zone partner, you call your cool sergeant, you call somebody, you call your spouse, and you go off about how much you hate this job and how much you want to get out of this job and how you're just done. We all do it. After every bad call, every time you get broken off a pursuit, every time something bad happens in this job, we all immediately react that it's the end of the world and we're done. We're blowing our wad at that point of any real plan to get out of this job. You're scream and yell about it. You're calling somebody who's going to reaffirm you. Hey man, it's cool. I got broken off too, or that sergeant's a dick, or this guy's a piece of shit. It's good. And you don't focus on an actual exit plan from this job. You mask it with having that mental and emotional reaction, which makes you feel better. And then usually reach out to people who are going to tell you it's okay, it's good, don't worry about it. And that's like a quick fix. That's like a drug. That's a quick fix to a problem if you really don't want to be in this job. And that's from your personal side. When it comes to the agency and the emotional side, has anybody ever had a supervisor, when you have like one of those moments where you're upset with the job, or you're pissed off, or you're whatever you are, has ever said, maybe this job isn't for you? And if they have, you probably took that as a negative. If there is one or two guys out there that are actually preaching the right thing to you and maybe have that idea for you that this might not be the right job, most of the time, nobody's going to say that because it's like a cult mentality. You get into this job with all these, promises of cool calls and benefits and retirement and all these things that you really, as a young person, undeveloped brain, oh yeah, I need that. I have to do that. I have to have stability. I have to have a job. And there's a certain ego that goes with this job, and it feeds us. It fed my ego. It gave me all those things and made me think this is who I was. But nobody really cares about you. We preach the mental health, we preach all that stuff from the agency. But if I was a supervisor and I saw a guy like that really probably shouldn't be in this job, it's either get rid of him disciplinary and let's treat him like shit, or let's talk down to him. There's never really like a, hey, maybe it is time to transition. And why I say that is, if you are experiencing that, I am done with law enforcement and it's okay. I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it in a mean way, but if you don't want to be a cop, I don't want you to be a cop. I don't want you working next to me. I don't want you responding to my house. I don't want you going to calls for service and critical incidents. Now, if you're just one of those guys, like I said earlier, that does a really good job and then has an outburst, but you really love the job, and that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking about people who, on a continuous basis, go to work and say, this isn't for me. Great. What do you do? Where do you turn to? What resources are there? So, in my opinion, step one is you need to make a LinkedIn account and you need to have a resume, because as a cop, you are qualified to do many, many, many jobs. And I'm talking about somebody with you have to have a few years, like 6 months, you don't have it. But you're 5, 8 years in, you're like, you know what? I'm sick of this shit. Sarge is a piece of shit. Agency sucks. How do I get out of here? I know from about 8 to 10 years in till I left, I was quitting all the time. I was quitting. I was done. Let's fucking call this guy. This supervisor doesn't do shit. But I never really had a plan. And if you don't have a plan, it's basically like playing lottery. You're scratching it off and you're hoping to hit it big. I don't know what you're doing. You're playing the lottery, doing scratch. There is no magical way out. So you need a resume. You need a LinkedIn. You need an actual plan, because you guys, as good cops, are qualified to do many, many, many things. Your agency is not going to tell you that. Your supervisor is not going to tell you that. Nobody in administration is going to tell you, hey, you could really go do something else. They don't want you to go do that. They want to keep you beat down. They want to keep you doing the job. They want to dangle promotions. They want to dangle specialty units, and they want to keep you doing what they need you to do so that they can do okay. Get reelected, get that pay raise from the commission as the chief. That's what they care about. So where it first hit me, when I really thought I really had an idea that I could go do something else, was I was in a meeting, and you guys go to meetings, obviously you go to conferences, you see people speak. They all got out of law enforcement because most of the guys talking at those big conferences or training seminars aren't cops anymore. How did they do it? I was sitting in a meeting, and there was for a company called Fusus, and we were learning about this integrated software system that does all this cool stuff. And I'm not going to pump their company because they didn't hire me, but I was in that meeting, and the guy talking was a 12-year SWAT guy from outside of Atlanta. It might have been Fulton County or one other county over. So I remember zoning out in the meeting, and I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, that's me. He had less years. He was 12. I was at like 19 at that point. I'm like, so I'm a 19-year guy. I've done all this stuff. Man. So at the end of the meeting, instead of calling him about the product, you can call me selfish, nasty, whatever you want to call me. I really didn't pay much attention. I thought, how do I get that? This little wire's creeping. We're going to play this game today. I'm not dealing with it. All right. So this is raw. This is how you get it. So as I'm sitting there, I said, let me call this guy. So I call, hey man, it's Mike from the meeting. Oh yeah, what do you need help with? I'm like, fuck that software, dude. I'm like, how do I get a job? How do I get out of this, what I'm doing, all that stuff you did, and get to where you're getting? And that's what he suggested to me. He's like, dude, you got to make a LinkedIn. You got to get a resume. You got to put all this stuff you've done down on a resume and get it out to people, because you are overqualified for a lot of jobs. Now, I'll be honest. I don't have a college degree, and everybody's seen me and heard me talk. I had the TikTok nonsense that made the news. I got demoted, and that all made the news. Completely bullshit, but it did. So I have baggage. I have stuff following me around. It's not as easy. But if you're Johnny Clean and you haven't had all that stuff, maybe you weren't a real comp if you don't, but if you haven't had all that stuff happen to you, you are very marketable to, and I hate saying some of these companies because they're monsters. I think Axon's a monster, but Axon, Motorola, Fusus, Flock, Recor, all these companies that do Finder, um, all these companies that do law enforcement software, law enforcement training, all these things, they have lots of jobs. But you don't just go, fuck that call. I'm done with this supervisor. I'm going tomorrow. And I got a buddy of mine, real close friend of mine, that every few days he's calling me with that same statement. And I did the same thing. So you have to have a real plan. And that is a resume, a LinkedIn, and fuck it. You have to be prepared for them to know you're actively looking to get out, because you may get somebody called the agency. You may get somebody look into the, call it just like switching agencies, very similar. But if you, and don't get me wrong, if you want to be a cop and you're a good cop, I'm not telling everybody to stop being a cop, because we need you guys. We need really good cops that are able to tolerate this stuff for a long time and go to these calls. But it may not be for everybody. And this may just be a chapter of your life, just like the military, 3, 4, 5, 6 year stepping stone to, you know what? I did that. I got the experience and I'm ready to move on. But you have to have a plan, and you can't just be that guy that every time something goes wrong, you're quitting and masking and coping with the situation. Now, from watching all this Charlie Kirk stuff, and he said something very interesting in one of his, I was watching some of his, there's 11 million unfilled jobs in the United States. And that's in the trade industry, electricians, plumbers, all those things. That's not a step down if you're making money. The status as a cop, it isn't what it once was. And I know there's some ego that comes with it, but you have to have the plan and go, I'm going to go do this. And I'm going to make sure it happens. Just like when you go, I'm going to come home every night. I'm going to go to this call. I'm going to find this warrant. I'm going to find all this stuff. You have to be committed. There is no, unless you're super lucky, there is no quick fix to just out of law enforcement. You're not going to find a job, especially if you've been there long enough, with the, excuse me, with the pay increases, and some of them are, getting pretty decent now. You're not going to find the job that you just stroll right into. It's going to take some planning, some financial planning, and all that stuff that we don't, as cops, want to do. And you have to put your own life first and make sure you're putting your own life first, because as the memes show and as everything else shows, they don't care about you. The agency doesn't care. They have to fill a position. The government, they don't care about your personal life. They don't care about your finances. They don't care about any of that stuff, your mental health. They pretend they do, but they don't. They just need to fill positions, handle calls for service, and play Wizard of Oz. To everybody else, it's a great world, but behind the curtain, there's guys pulling all these, making all these moves. So they're not going to do it for you. You have to do it. So you have to get ready to move on from law enforcement as a long-term goal. And I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know that I was going to be lucky enough. And I say lucky, but I put a lot of work into it. I didn't know that Copville and this opportunity was on the way. I started a small business that I really didn't even realize was a small business, which was a meme page. And that grew to sales. And then the sales worked, and then opened up the opportunity when I left to be a podcast. Then an opportunity opened recently, as everybody's seen, to be the co-host of the Anti-Hero podcast. But I put the work in. You can call it stupid, you can call it silly, but I did something using social media that people wanted, made memes, gained popularity, and I don't mean unpopular. The page gained popularity. It resonated with guys. That led to product development, that led to planning products, that led to sales. Sales led to income. Income allowed me to buy podcasting equipment, and there was a plan. And then by the grace of God and the Almighty, some reason people like watching me talk, or somebody does, that opened the door to Tyler, Counterculture, and now Anti-Hero. It was a plan that started May of 23. So over 2 years ago, to get to where I am right now. Because I got a message yesterday, the day before, hey man, I want to start a podcast. I really want to get out of law enforcement. I want to do, what is your advice? And I'm going to be very blunt. It's a saturated market, just like lawn service and any other quick painting, all those businesses. It's a saturated business. And I cops, I don't just want to sit down and hear, hey man, I went to this call and I did this. Yes, there are extraordinary stories, and I know I make my money doing this, and I'm not claiming to be special, but you have to create obviously interesting material and edgy stuff, and controversy goes into it. The other thing, when guys say I want to start a podcast or I want to be social media, I don't know that you're ready for the amount of spotlight and heat that is coming your way on a regular basis. Everything you say is dissected. Everything you talk about is dissected. People hate you. They comment about you. And as a comp, I know when you go to a call and you get a complaint that you didn't do something right, you're beat. You're like, no way, I did everything. I tried to be nice. Like it's hard for cops to handle failure or somebody thinking you did something wrong. So the get rich quick scheme of cop and podcast probably isn't the right answer, because it takes very thick skin and a very short memory to sit here and talk and do this, because people don't like you. People are going to comment about you, and you have to either ignore it, roll with it, or change to fit your audience. So those got messages I get, like quick fix, quick out messages, those aren't the answer. The answer is planning, and it's hard. It's hard to plan a 2-year, a 2-year exit plan. Name of the episode. See what I did there? It's hard. It was hard for me to go from street cop maniac. I go get my oil change whenever I want. I jump everybody in line at the garage. Kind of felt entitled because I did a lot of cool police work, and I'm very honest about how I've changed, to marrying someone who goes, "That's not how we do it. You may get away with it. You may get away with doing those things, but it's not the right way to do it." And I didn't get promoted. And I thought, well, I did all this stuff. I deserve to be promoted. I worked hard. I put a lot of guys in jail. But are you doing things to be promotable? And I had it was a year and a half. Yeah, 2020 to December of 21 when I got promoted. It was like a year and a half plan of like, I have to change my mentality. It was hard. I'm stubborn. I'm mean. I get nasty when I don't get my way. I'm a baby. But I had to go, okay, there's the plan. It's just like working out. I don't care if you take steroids or not. You have to have a long-term plan that I'm going to consistently do this over and over. So your exit plan is consistent every day. I have to go do this job, and I want you to do the job, and I want you to do it well. And I want you to handle the calls well, but you have to do the job and have the discipline to go do the other things, take the classes, get back in school if that's what your career field is going to be outside of law enforcement. Money, not living beyond your means. I've been broke. When I say I've been broke, in my alcohol years, 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, those were my bad years. I'm talking about run out of gas and my car broke as a cop. Child support, all that garbage that goes with it, broke. I know what it's like to have a 500 credit score and not have any money. And it became normal. And I had to get myself out of that. And I had people around me that helped me get out of that. And I had my own, physical fitness journey of a fat slob to fit by saying, I'm going to do this over and over and over and over again every day. So just like your job, where you should perform every day at a high standard, all the stuff I post, wear your vest, do all that stuff, your exit plan has to be just as hard worked and consistent. And it takes more work because you're going to be working your regular job, earning your money, and have to do all these other things to get out of the job. And there's the fear of the unknown. And you're going to have to, like I said, embrace that, because you could do all this stuff. And then you have to get to that moment where you're going to actually type the words out and give up what you were told was your career, your 25 years, your healthcare benefits, all this great stuff, and make that move. Just lateraling, which I think happens a lot more now, the transfers within agencies. I remember It took me 2 times to actually submit the application to go from the city to the sheriff's office, and I had a lot of stress and anxiety back then. I think that's a little easier now, but now you're going from you know what your job is every day. You know what you do when you walk in, good, bad, or indifferent. Your patrol, you're gonna deal with morons and handle calls and all that nonsense. Detective, you're gonna hang out at your desk and eat 3 lunches and work a couple cases. Supervisor, you're gonna manage all those people doing all those wild things and try to get them to be productive. And if you're lucky to get an upper management, then you turn into a piece of shit and everybody below you is nothing and you're God. But you have to manage all those things you're doing every day and then have the goals and and responsibility or dedication to make sure you do all those other things. And it's hard. It's hard to do, but I did it. And this isn't about me, but I didn't take instructor techniques, which in the state of Florida, you need this class in order to teach. Most people do that in the first 2 or 3 years. I did it a year 19 or 20. I drove an hour back and forth to school for 2 weeks. Actually got interrupted by a hurricane to get instructor techniques, a basic class that I never bothered taking because I didn't want to be an instructor. Then I went to firearms instructor at 20 years in because I was like, that's what I want to do now. I want to get into that. Then I went to other instructor level classes, but I didn't care about that stuff for a very long time. I put bad guys in jail. That's what I like to do. But it took a rewiring of this to get to that point. And it's going to take a rewiring of your brain to start doing those extra things. And it's easy to get sidetracked. My wife's example of this is the diet. I'm going to get up today and I'm going on a diet and I'm going to be fit and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do it. And you convince yourself in your brain and man, you go to bed that night. Tomorrow's the day. I'm waking up tomorrow. I'm going to be on a diet. I'm going to get ripped. I'm going to get shredded. I'm going to get in shape. About lunchtime rolls around and you're like, God damn, I'm starving. And like I've had nuts for breakfast and yogurt. And then what happens? Your better or your worst side of you gets the better of you. You're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat this real quick, blah, blah, blah. And then there's tomorrow. And then there's the next day. And then, Mondays are the classic start a diet day. But it's so easy in today's world, especially as a cop, because you get sidetracked and you have all this other responsibility to actually stay dedicated and do it is very, very difficult. So my point to this is there is no easy exit from this job. It's a very difficult exit, but it's very, very obtainable and it's very, very likely you can do it if you're willing to put the work in. I have a hard time believing, I'll be very honest, I have a hard time believing a lot of guys because they can't do the basics of law enforcement, which is stay in shape, not be a piece of shit, wear your vest, treat people respectfully within the ranks. Like it's tough to be around cops and see it. I don't know that it's the cops' fault all the time. I think you come into a culture that breeds that. And that's what you just fall in the line. And we have a habit, and I've been guilty of it. We have a habit of ganging up on the weakest person in the room and you just hammer them like with jokes. Oh, you messed up that call. You did. And we all laugh, ha, ha, ha. And it's funny to pick on the same guy. And then the group chat goes and picking on that one guy. It's kind of what we do. And we never really uplift each other. So if you find somebody that uplifts you in or out of the job and you can talk to about these goals, that's who you want to focus on, helping and obtain these goals. Because you don't want to, my point of that is you don't want to spill your business or your ideas, your goals to everybody because none of them are your friends. And all they're waiting to do is, hey, this dude's going to be a fucking rocket scientist. He's going to be a podcast. Oh, he's going to get out of the job and he's going to work for Flock. He thinks he's going to go be a Flock guy. Like they're just looking for the next opportunity to fucking make fun of you. And not everybody, but I've been through it all. I've seen it. I've seen it for my whole career. Keep those ideas close. Find somebody, and it may not be your spouse. And I'm not saying go find somebody not your spouse. Keep it the same sex. Find somebody that you can genuinely talk to because you're going to find one, maybe two or one that really is your friend of thousands. And then have them encourage you to, or they should encourage you to stick to the plan and get with it. And they should be hard on you and they should call you out when you don't do things the right way or you get off your plan, but they're doing it for the right reasons. They're not doing it to make the group chat laugh or to stand, in the training class to make the joke out loud that everybody laughs at. mean, that's why we're all cops anyway. Our desk was in the hallway, and you know, we like to be funny and make people laugh, and it always comes at the expense of other cops, and that's how we get down on each other. Just looking at my notes because I made some notes. I'm an organized person now. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep it short, about 30 minutes. That's what the point of this episode was. As I've exited the job and I hear a lot of people now, I get a lot of messages that people want to exit the job. These are the things that I think you need to think of and worry about. And at the end of the day, the most important person is you and your family. And don't ever forget that. As much as I want good cops, and we should have good cops, it's not our fault that the culture has created Greg Tonys and Carmine Marcinos and Wayne Ivies. And I want to say his name. I'm going to pass on this time. It's not my fault that, and that's just in Florida, that the people that are now in charge are self-served, that put their name on every door and create an environment that is toxic, and there's no recourse and no way to stop it. That's not your fault. That's not my fault. So do the jump outs, arrest the warrants, get the bad guys, smash the bad guy's car, flip them upside down if it allows you to, but don't ruin your life for guys and agencies and a job that doesn't care about you. They don't. There's people in the agency that care about you, but the entity itself, the train rolls on, my friend. Never stops. It's going forever. It's always going to be there, whether it's manned by good, bad, or indifferent. And you all see it at your agency where the shitbirds, I see it firsthand in my home, where the people who don't hold a standard and the people who just willy-nilly it and just wing it, they're never going to struggle in this job because nobody at the top holds a standard to them and makes them do it. The most frustrated people that I talk to every day, the people that I call my friends still, that I hear, they're bitching about efficiency of the agency and the fact that nobody else holds the standard that they hold, and they are the minority now. Guys are getting in trouble or accused of things like hostile work environment because they're the only person left holding a standard. That's a problem in law enforcement. When you watch your sheriff have an affair, or you watch your sheriff hire his mistress, or you watch a sheriff fire people unjustly, or you watch a sheriff say he can't, we're cracking down on street racing and he's going 150 in a Lamborghini. Nobody polices them, but you go out and do your job and take a bad guy on the ground and you get demoted. Or you go out and chase a car and they're like, oh, you're going too fast. Or you're going to a armed robbery and they're like, oh, you ran a red light. Man, don't kill yourself for these people. Do it for you, do it for your family, and have an exit plan. I appreciate your time. At Copville on Instagram, at the Anti-Hero now on Instagram, and Patreon for Anti-Hero. I am now co-host of the Anti-Hero podcast. We stream Mondays at 10 a.m. and Thursdays are for the boys at 8 p.m. My show stays the same here. And then there's Counterculture. Counterculture, we have multiple shows, multiple networks. I'm only going to plug my shows because that's all I'm thinking of. Wednesday night, tonight, after you watch this, 7 p.m., Jordan Innes, my permanent co-host for Hot Topic with Copville. Friday night, open mic. I appreciate the support. My DMs are open at Copville OG on Instagram. I will answer you. I will respond. I'll do my best to help with anything we talked about today. I really appreciate you guys.
I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.